Superb for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
not going to increase the taxes that working people pay, their income tax, their national insurance and their VAT.
Rachel Reeves said she wouldn't raise income tax.
Of this Parliament, which means we're not going to have to come back for more.
She said she wouldn't tax you more in this budget.
My job to deal with the world as we find it, not the world that I might wish it to be.
Today, she gaslit the nation. For goodness sake, go.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
If not for us, do it for yourself, Rachel. In other news...
Let me tell you our story. Who knows? One day you might need it.
What do you say to your victims, Hugh Edwards?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome indeed to Jimmo Fix It.
It's game over for the BBC. A leaked report could bring down the institution once and for all. Tommy Robinson wins his court case. They only arrested him because of his political beliefs. Plus, the Home Office apparently has no idea where this depraved Pakistani rape gang paedophile is. And...
who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547? Henry VII.
Edward VI.
Humiliation for David Lammy. A taxi driver in France has been acquitted of trying to steal his money and his luggage. The judge ruled that Lammy's claims were, quote, incoherent. On my panel tonight, we have got Tory MP Esther McVeigh, we've got Reform Party Councillor Jamie McIver and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell, and take a bow, John Lewis.
All right, kids, let's clear all these prezzies off the table. Oh, yep, that one too, thank you.
I'll show you the full clip later on. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Paedophiles, terrorists and lies, all in a day's work for the BBC. Next.
Good evening. The top stories from the GB newsroom. Rachel Reeves has refused to rule out tax rises, saying she'll make the necessary choices in her budget later on this month. It comes amid warnings from the Resolution Foundation that tax rises are inevitable. The OBR is also expected to downgrade its productivity forecast, leaving a £20 billion gap in the public finances. Well, speaking from Downing Street earlier today, the Chancellor said her statement on the 26th of November will focus on fairness and opportunity, but she admitted the world has thrown challenges our way.
Mine will be a budget for growth, with fairness at its heart, and a budget that supports businesses to create jobs and to innovate. As I take my decisions on both tax and spend, I will do what is necessary to protect families from high inflation and interest rates, to protect our public services from a return to austerity, and to ensure that the economy that we hand down to future generations is secure, with debt under control.
Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has hit back, claiming Rachel Reeves' speech proves Labour has given up on living within its means.
Chancellor's speech was one long waffle bomb. A laundry list of excuses. She blamed absolutely everybody else for her own choices, her own decisions, her own failures.
In other news, a committee of MPs has written to the BBC's chairman demanding information about the way a speech by the US President Donald Trump was edited in an episode of Panorama. The broadcaster is accused of doctoring a Donald Trump speech to make it appear he encouraged the Capitol Hill riot. An internal memo seen by The Telegraph claimed the Panorama episode, broadcast a week before the US election, completely misled viewers. It showed Mr. Trump urging supporters to fight like hell when he actually said to march peacefully and patriotically. The BBC told GB News it doesn't comment on leaked documents, but said all feedback is taken seriously. Elsewhere, the brother of the Southport killer said his parents lost control of their son. He feared his younger sibling would kill a member of their family. A public inquiry has heard today. Axel Rudakabana, then 17, killed 3 little girls at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in July last year. The Southport inquiry heard the attacker's brother Dion Rudakabana told a friend there was a risk of his brother doing something potentially fatal. Dion said his brother reminded him of the sociopathic murderer in the film No Country for Old Men. And as you've been hearing, Tommy Robinson has been cleared of a terror offence after refusing to give police his phone PIN when stopped at the Channel Tunnel last year. The 42-year-old had been driving to Spain when police demanded access to his iPhone under anti-terror powers. The judge found him not guilty, ruling police acted unlawfully, detaining him under the Terrorism Act. Robinson's defence argued officers targeted him because of his political views and not because of any link to terrorism. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from me in an hour. Now it's back to Patrick.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good evening. It's game over for the BBC. Today, evidence emerged that will bring the state broadcaster to its knees, should see its Director General and Head of News sacked, and lead to a massive public apology to us all. A leaked dossier revealed the BBC pumped Hamas propaganda into our homes and around the world, and the powers that be ignored it, covered it up and allowed it to continue. On BBC Arabic, they platformed Samer El-Zainan 244 times between November 2023 and April 2025. Now, he posted on social media, apparently, that Jews should be burnt like Hitler did. They platformed Ahmad Al-Ajar, who described Jews as, quotes, devils and Israelis as less than human. He was on 522 times during the same period. The BBC failed to mention that many Palestinian prisoners were actually guilty of terror crimes, including bombings and knife attacks. It gave unjustifiable weight to Hamas's claims about the death toll in Gaza. They did a report about a female sex slave being released from Gaza, then ran a 600-word statement from Hamas calling her a liar. It incorrectly claimed the International Court of Justice had ruled that genocide was taking place. Newsnight highlighted claims that thousands of babies were on the brink of starvation in Gaza, that it already knew to be false. And that is the key point there, that they already knew to be false claims. BBC Arabic is partly funded by our Foreign Office, so it's your money. The Foreign Office should withdraw funding and demand a refund right now. The BBC, through the independent production company it used, also stands accused of paying Hamas for this documentary that they had to take off air because the boy here just happens to be the son of a Hamas government minister.
Morning. You all right? Have you ever wondered what you'd do if your world was destroyed?
Last night, it was revealed that BBC Panorama appeared to doctor a speech by President Trump to make it seem like he instigated riots.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
But this is the worst bit. So this leaked report that is just coming to light now reveals how, having made such serious and misleading journalistic errors, BBC executives chose to hide them from the public rather than correct the record. In doing so, they appear to have deliberately chosen to mislead licence fee payers. And on that note, look what I received in the post today. There you go. So, if you don't want to pay for this extreme level of indoctrination, lies, deceit and propaganda, they threaten to send round the heavies for you. They will knock on your front door any time of the morning, afternoon or evening. If they find that you've been watching TV, they can interview you under caution, fine you £1,000 plus legal costs, criminalise you and then force you to pay for a licence fee. What was announced on Monday? Oh, they are expected to hike the price of the TV licence above 180 quid for the first time ever. Thank you, BBC. Taxpayers have to pay for the privilege of being indoctrinated by BBC bias. I mean, the leaked document is a huge scandal. Heads must roll, but it's just the latest in a long line of huge BBC scandals.
Very much so. Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage? Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Martin Bashir's Princess Diana interview, well, it turned out that Bashir used fake bank statements and deceitful behaviour to secure that Panorama interview. It was based on lies. They put a helicopter above Cliff Richard's house and did live coverage of a police raid. He was, of course, later acquitted of all allegations. They had to pay him £2 million. I mean, if they wanted to report on cases involving alleged sex criminals, well, frankly, they should just walk around their own office.
One note of caution, always be careful. It's important to check all the sources. They might not be giving you the full picture.
Hugh Edwards convicted of being in possession of the worst category of child porn. The country's most notorious paedophile, Jimmy Savile, stalked their corridors for decades.
It could be good. I hope it'll be good. Well, it will be. It'll be fantastic.
Well, there you go. That's just another paedophile at the BBC, isn't it? Rolf Harris. Any more? Oh, yeah. Stuart Hall, in 2013, he pleaded guilty to 14 counts of indecent assault against 13 girls, some as young as 9 years old, with offences occurring between 1967 and 1985, during which time he was at the BBC. Some other issues they've had just in the last year. Gary Lineker, Bob Villan, he claimed that BBC staff praised him after his Glastonbury performance, which, of course, was just beamed out live to an audience of millions.
Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
There's people like Greg Wallace, aren't there? It's also just like the rampant left-wing bias, which they've had to apologise for.
He has said that this is now a matter of national security.
Nigel Farage with his customary inflammatory language there at a Reform UK press conference.
A little bit more left-wing bias.
Well, this is all very exciting, isn't it? Hello and welcome to our look ahead to what the papers will be bringing us tomorrow. Am I allowed to be this gleeful? Well, I am.
Yeah, that was the day Boris Johnson went, so there you go. And that's before we've spoken about them being accused of ageism and sexism for getting rid of older female presenters on shows like Countryfile and Strictly Come Dancing. The BBC is finished. It should just turn itself into a commercial channel. Stop demanding taxpayers for this cacophony of detritus and stick to doing what it does best. Programmes about trans people, shows about how the burqa is a good thing for women's rights and about how the Anglo-Saxons were actually all mixed race. Get thoughts on my panel this evening. We, of course, have Tory MP Esther McVeigh, Reform Councillor Jane McIver and former Labour Minister Bill Ramell. Esther, I'll start with you on this. Pretty shocking revelations here in this leaked report about the BBC essentially knowingly misleading people, not just about Trump, but in this case as well about Hamas.
Oh, it's devastating, this, for the BBC, to have altered it, to have doctored it, and then when people point it out, there's deny, defend, and just sort of try and derail anybody trying to look into it. Really, now, they've always hidden behind the fact that they were impartial, that they weren't biased, and that sort of has slipped now. We now know they are biased. We've always thought it. We've always thought they were pro-Labour, pro-Remain, pro-immigration, pro-trans rights, and now we found out that is the truth.
Yeah, and I suppose, Jamie, as well, the point is that the killer line for me in all of that was that they essentially knew that this was going on, and once they'd been told that it was happening, they chose to try to cover it up as opposed to inform the public and do anything about it.
Yeah, I think the BBC mask has been slipping. It's literally like round their ankles now. It's just so embarrassing, and you're right. I think the worst thing about all of this is the deliberate misleading of the British people. You know, these are people that are effectively taxed without representation with their TV licence fees. These are people that have coerced and indoctrinated viewers for many, many years, and now we know they've deliberately been deceitful. The person at the top has to go. This is beyond, you know, PR recovery now. This is the worst. One of the worst things I think we've seen here is not what they've been doing, but the fact they knew they were doing it.
If you don't want to pay the TV licence bill, you get a knock on the door from some heavies. By the way, that will include pensioners, older people who might have just forgotten about it for whatever reason, and they can come round, they can be criminalised, they can be fined £1,000 plus legal costs, etc, etc, etc. Why on earth should anyone be made to pay for that guff?
Why should anyone be made to pay taxes? Because we live in a democracy and you have to abide by the laws of the land. And look, I'm a supporter of the BBC. I'm not alone. I was looking at some polling this afternoon. 64% of people, British people, very high level, think the BBC is a valuable public service. However, there are questions to answer. I think the Trump criticism is wide of the mark. I actually checked the speech on January the 6th, 2021, and he did urge the crowd, the mob, to fight. He did urge them to go to Capitol Hill, and the mob went, and 5 people were killed. So I think that's a different issue. However, the BBC Arabic service, I think there are real questions to be answered. Most particularly, their editorial output is significantly different to the BBC website. There's been...
Well, not that. Panorama's been done, Newsnight's been done.
Yeah, but there's been unchecked statements from Hamas. There's been people with a really strong record of anti-Semitism. them who've been put on air, and I think there are some real questions to answer.
So what's happened then? People have to go over that.
Well, I think there needs to be an investigation. One, because it's the BBC. Two, because as you said in your introduction, it's funded in part by the Foreign Office. There needs to be an investigation. The outcome needs to be public, and action needs to be taken.
Well, I used to be a journalist on the BBC, and I used to do editing. There is no way you could have edited 56 minutes apart, sliced it together, and put it off as the one comment, which is what happened on Trump's January the 6th speech. You know, I don't think you could just pass over that, breeze over that, as if that was what happened there. Now, it's absolutely unjustifiable to still have the licence fee. More and more people are switching off the BBC. The fact now that GBNews has been for the last 4 months the #1 news channel, right? You can't force people to pay for things they don't want. You couldn't force people to pay for Sky News. No. And if it's so wonderful and everybody wants it and it's such good value for money, they would pay for it anyway if that were the point. So I think that laws has to change on that, and it cannot be backed up by criminal sanctions.
Sorry, but it's also the relentless scandals that go back absolute decades, and some of the most appalling, disgusting, sickening stuff that you could possibly imagine. How on earth can the BBC hold its head up high around the world? Any single other business or institution that had that level of disgusting scandal time after time after time would be made.
But Patrick, it's large institutions throughout this country. You can talk about the Church of England. You can talk about the Catholic Church. Right. Yes, they have really serious questions to answer about the way, for want of a better phrase, they handled the talent.
We don't pay the wages for people in the Catholic Church.
It's not a criminal offence to not go to church on a Sunday. It's just not an accurate comparison. Ultimately, I mean, even the Institute of Economic Affairs said it's a ridiculous concept that you're forcing people in a free market economy to sign up to watch the same stuff and making them pay, making it a criminal offence if they don't. The point here is that it's scandal after scandal. They've lost the right to be treated with that level of respect.
They also mark their own homework, and then it will go to Ofcom. But first of all, they decide whether it should go forward or not. And then when it goes to Ofcom, you'll find most people who work there are former BBC employees. So this, again, has been another scandal. You want to try and complain about the BBC, you go round in a circle for months and months and months.
But do you know what? Go round the world and there is no public service broadcaster with the degree of support and integrity.
Isn't that terrifying? Because now, Bill, it turns out that they've been lying to everyone. So this is the point.
Well, no, I don't think that's...
This is the point.
I don't think that's conclusively proven by what's come out. There's a process going on within the BBC where on the editorial committee or its equivalent, a whistleblower can make complaints. As I understand it, that process is ongoing and there's an interaction taking place.
I think the Michael Prescott there, who is on the Editorial Standards Committee and he's known as a serious journalist, said it was deep and pervasive, the bias in the BBC newsroom, and it was chronic failure to deal with it. I mean, that is absolutely damning.
But that's his view. We haven't heard the other side because there hasn't been an investigation.
He gave the evidence to show what had gone on. He showed, the difference between what was on BBC, Arabic BBC, and what was on the BBC. He showed how they'd edited in a very complicated way, the Trump
I've
speech.
acknowledged that the BBC Arabic channel has real questions to answer, but all we've heard from a leak is the critique. We haven't heard what the other side of the debate was within the BBC's structure, and that's why I think there needs to be a proper investigation and the results need to be published, because I think particularly with regard to the BBC Arabic channel...
He's saying he's got evidence that the BBC knew about that story, about the amount of girls and children that were going to starve to death, was fake and still went to air with it.
Yeah, and all we've heard is his accusations and his side of the story.
Well,
we've not heard the other side.
He was the son of a Hamas official in a documentary.
Totally wrong.
Time and time again that we've heard this.
All right, guys, well, a lively start. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see what people decide at home. A BBC spokesperson told GB News, whilst we don't comment on leaked documents, when the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. Michael Prescott is a former advisor to the board committee, where differing views and opinions of our coverage are routinely discussed and debated. Right, OK, I've got a heck of a lot coming your way, including something I think a lot of you are going to be very, very interested about. Tommy Robinson's case was basically thrown out of court today. He was found not guilty. But before all of that, of course, well, I couldn't let you get going without telling you about the festive Great British giveaway, could I? Here's everything you need to know.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash, so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Wow, coming up.
My job to deal with the world as we find it, not the world that I might wish it to be.
Good grief. The Chancellor blamed Brexit, Liz Truss, Kwasi Kwarteng. I mean, the list goes on. The world. At one point, she just blamed the world. Anyone but herself for the economic mess that this country is in. But what will tax rises mean for you? How will they affect your pay packet? I'm going to find out soon. First, though. Well, Tom Robinson was cleared of a terror charge, and it was claimed in court today that police only stopped him because of his politics. So, sorry, but is he now persecuted for his political beliefs? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
Yeah, that was Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, who was humiliated earlier today after a French taxi driver was acquitted of trying to steal his money and his luggage. Some of the details of that court case, by the way, are absolutely hilarious, so stay tuned. But coming to a court case that is a lot less hilarious now, was Tommy Robinson persecuted for his political beliefs? It's time for the head-to-head. Huge victory for Tommy Robinson in court today. He was cleared of a terror charge at Westminster Magistrates Court. He was stopped at the Channel Tunnel in Folkestone last July while he was on his way to Benidorm, apparently. The 41-year-old was accused by the police of giving, quotes, vague replies which prompted them to demand access to his mobile phone. After he refused to give them his PIN, he was then arrested under the Terrorism Act. In his remarks, the judge said this, quite telling this, "I cannot put out of my mind that it was actually what you stood for and your political beliefs that acted as the principal reason for this stop." Well, I'm sorry, but I think that's absolutely terrifying. Tonight I'm asking, was Tommy Robinson persecuted for his political beliefs? Going head-to-head on this now are the co-founder of the Together Declaration, Alan Miller, and the political strategist, Pablo Ohana. Thank you very much, chaps. Alan, I'll start with you. Was he persecuted for his political beliefs?
Well, it definitely appears as though he was. The judge has said that the protected characteristics need to be protected, namely what he believes. And we saw that there was a meandering response from the police, and it looks very much like what we've seen quite a lot of in the recent period, that there's some people that are arrested or put in prison for some views and others that are not. But to the credit of the judge, he focused very clearly and specifically on the situation, and he made it abundantly clear that this had nothing to do with terrorism. It's quite remarkable, actually, in a week and a month where we've seen so many attacks, and the T word, the terror word, is never to be spoken.
Yeah. Pablo, I'll bring you in on this then. I mean, according to the judge's comments, it is pretty much black and white, isn't it? That because of Tommy Robinson's political beliefs, police pulled him over and then proceeded to try to persecute him.
Well, it is ironic that people like Tommy Robinson are so in favour of stop and search until it's them that are stopped and searched. Tommy Robinson is a homegrown terrorist. He is racist, he is violent, he is an extreme right-wing...
Sorry, Pablo, can I just put you in... For your own sake, would you like to withdraw those comments about Tommy Robinson being a, quote, homegrown terrorist? Can I politely suggest to you that you might want to do that?
Tommy Robinson hates everything about our country. He has no place in our
homegrown terrorist,
life.
Pablo?
He has performed and he has delivered speeches that are incredibly divisive. They demonise our communities, they divide our country, and that is that is not who our country is, our country is.
But he's not a homegrown terrorist, though, is he?
He may not be a terrorist, but
OK, so you're withdrawing already, yeah.
And he encourages the type of division that this country does not stand for.
Talking of division, I don't know about you, Alan, but I'm sorry.
It may be in this case that the judge decided that he was stopped because of his politics. That may be the case. Okay. But there is no doubt.
But Alan, I'll come back to that because that's quite an interesting statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone on the left who comes straight out the traps and says Tommy Robinson's a homegrown terrorist, then has to backtrack on it and then talks about people like Tommy Robinson sowing division.
I think it's remarkable, and actually many on the so-called left bear huge responsibility for the problem of censorship and not allowing people to talk about things like rape gangs and borders without calling them racist. It's why Sarah Chapman left the Labour Party. It's also why Dennis McShane did the terrorful situation of Rotherham. The public wants to have an open debate. They want a proper national inquiry. And yet, people call the public racist, like we've seen at the Labour Party conference, millions of the public. They call people far-right, whether they're anti-ULEZ protesters or they're concerned about borders or rape gangs. Now we've got someone who's saying that he's a homegrown terrorist. They fling out these smears and accusations that are unfounded, that are very dangerous and utterly irresponsible. That's also also why at the Together Declaration, at our event on Sunday the 16th, we're going to be talking about the absolute outrage of thinking that digital ID is going to stop these things. Pablo's very point about division is something that's been stoked up actually by identity politics and multiculturalism. What we need is a discussion about integration, about the values and virtues of enlightenment, the democracy, liberty, freedom and rights, not actually constantly calling people names and slurring people in the public that have got concerns with these issues.
Are you disagreeing that Tommy Robinson is far right and racist? He is far right and he is racist. That's not me being outrageous.
Again, I think
he is. That is
in a bit of trouble there, Pablo.
What you started off here was saying that he's a homegrown terrorist. It's utterly irresponsible. You've backtracked already. You've demonstrated the cavalier and superficial nature of your assessment, and I think you really need to take stock. We're having a very serious conversation in Britain about the concerns of the British public, where people who fly our national flag are called all sorts of names, where 1 million people went on Unite the Kingdom demonstration, and yet people are calling them at the Labour Party conference racist.
No,
you started off with a smear.
Perfectly fine. Flying the flag is fine. That is not racist. That is not divisive. I'm very proud of our flag. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is not okay to associate it with any level of racism.
Pablo, can I just ask you a question just to round this off? So I don't know if you're a massive Jeremy Corbyn fan or not, but I'm going to use him as an example here. Someone who is, I think, you know, on the pretty hard left of British politics, right? If Jeremy Corbyn had been trying to drive a car from the Channel Tunnel eventually through to Benidorm, which is a hefty drive, to be fair, and had been stopped by police, and in a court of law it had emerged that the police had pulled him over ultimately because of his political views, you would be absolutely outraged by that, wouldn't you?
I don't think it's appropriate to pull anyone over if they haven't done anything wrong, but at the moment, if you're going to be stopped and searched, then it has to apply to everybody.
So we've got a situation where the left have called on censorship and deplatforming for all sorts of people, yet they don't want to address some of the big concerns, like with Islamic radicalisation. That's why someone like Mohammed Shafiq was celebrating telling Facebook they should deplatform Tommy Robinson when he was taken off all social media. The same person, by the way, who attended an event where someone celebrated the killing of the leader of Punjab. What we've got is a situation where there's not an honest addressing of these things, right? And I just want to say to anyone who's on the left used to have a proud tradition of fighting for free speech for everyone and thrashing out ideas. It's a travesty now that there's an attempt to shut everyone down in this age of censorship. We need free speech for everyone.
All right. Well, at the risk of seeming like I'm shutting anyone down, we are now out of time for this segment, I'm afraid. But thank you very much both for coming on. As the co-founder of the Together Declaration, Alan Miller there, and political strategist Pablo Ohana. I will just say again that I imagine that Tom Robinson, well, he does obviously deny that he's a homegrown terrorist because he isn't one. And I think he would also deny that he is a racist and indeed far right, which was some of the other allegations lobbed his way there. Coming up...
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
Oh, you just can't get enough of it, can you? Can't get enough of it. Mastermind himself. A French taxi driver has been cleared of stealing cash and luggage from the now Justice Secretary, David Lammy. Now, the details of this court case will have you splitting your sides with laughter. Honestly, I'll reveal all very soon. First, though...
My job to deal with the world as we find it, not the world that I might wish it to be.
If you care about your money, you're going to want to watch this. Next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the autumnal weather in the UK, well, there is also some unsettled weather through the Mediterranean. The focus in the east and the west at the moment, with Greece seeing some heavy showers, particularly towards the south, and even some longer spells of rain. Italy, though, faring well for sunny skies, likewise for the south of France. But we do have this wet and windy weather sweeping through Portugal on Wednesday, into Spain, and then clearing into eastern Spain during Thursday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Certainly been a soggy start to the week and further spells of rain are expected over the next 24 hours. The emphasis shifting north. It stays cloudy, it stays breezy. Further spells of rain moving south to north across the United Kingdom. And as we go into the evening, actually, the wettest of the weather moves from southwest England up through Wales into the Midlands, and then eventually ends up across northern England, southern and central Scotland, as well as Northern Ireland. A damp night for many, in other words. It's also a breezy night, but that breeze helping to keep temperatures into the teens, even for the southeast, where in fact it stays dry with clear spells. One exception, northern Scotland, where we've got the clear spells and light winds, and as a result, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. So a cooler start here, first thing, but plenty of fine weather for Shetland, Orkney, the far north of the mainland, the Outer Hebrides. The rest of Scotland, though, cloudy and damp with some wet weather moving into the south. Northern Ireland, on and off rain, particularly towards the east, and it's a damp picture for the west of England as well as Wales, but not as wet as Tuesday. The Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast faring well for brightness first thing, and in fact we'll see some sunny spells through the day with it staying mostly dry once again. The breeze from the south continues to import mild air, so temperatures up to 15, 16, even 17 Celsius in places, but it does turn damp once again towards the west of England and Wales by the afternoon with some showery rain in places. For bonfire nights, well, it looks like there'll be some rain in the north, but drier elsewhere with clear spells and mild across the board. And that gets us off to a generally cloudy start on Thursday once again. Areas of cloud here and there, but a drier day for many. England and Wales seeing some sunny spells. Friday, likewise, some sunny spells here and there, but a band of rain will move west to east through the day.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, kids, let's clear all these prezzies off the table. Oh, yep, that one too, thank you.
Well done, John Lewis. It's a fantastic, nostalgic Christmas advert. They're the first out the traps when it comes to the Christmas adverts. I'll play you the full one shortly. But first, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, indicated in a speech to the nation this morning that she is set to break a key manifesto promise and actually increase taxes on working people because, quote, everyone will have to contribute to improve Britain's finances. In case you missed it, let's check in with the state of UK national debt.
UK's national debt now stands at £2.6 trillion, equivalent to 94% of GDP.
Well, how is this going to affect working people? What will have to be done?
If we are to build the future of Britain together, we will all have to contribute to that effort. Each of us must do our bit for the security of our country and the brightness of its future.
Right, OK, that sounds a bit bleak, actually, in a way, doesn't it? But to break down the Chancellor's speech, which, by the way, I'm going to be tearing strips off at 10 p.m, is economics editor at The Spectator, Michael Simmons, who joins me now. Michael, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you. What I was hoping you might be able to do is, for my viewers and listeners, people watching this who really are worried about things at the moment, could you just say, you know, what is it likely to do to affect their pay packet? If you've got someone who's on, say, 50 grand a year, what's Rachel Reeves about to do to them?
Yeah, well, if we're to believe the pretty massive kite that she's flying here, although she hasn't expressly said it, we're thinking there's going to be a 1p or 2p increase on the basic rate of income tax. So i.e. anyone in a job is paying that tax, and it's probably on sort of average income or on the income you say, it would be about £100 to £200 extra a year to the taxman. Now that might not sound like a lot of money, but for a lot of people who are, you know, barely managing with the heating, with the shopping every week, given how high inflation has been, that's going to tip, you know, a lot of people over the edge. So it's a bit funny for the Chancellor to say that she wants to tackle the cost of living when it sounds like she's going to bring taxes in on all of us, which is going to make us all poorer.
Well, and with it, of course, breaking manifesto promises, which is really, really quite a stark thing to do, to essentially mislead the nation. I also think she might be in quite choppy waters, because I've got a clip I'm going to play later on about her in the House of Commons, where she appears to be saying that she's going to do the exact opposite of what she might do now. I wonder what kind of trouble she could be in for that. She says that this is going to be a budget for growth and that she wants to see more people in work. Have any of her policies actually, or potential policies anyway, are any of them going to deliver that, or is that not true either?
Well, no, I'm afraid to say, Rachel Reeves says a lot of things that myself and many people in the sort of economic world would agree with. You know, we need more jobs and we need more growth. But if you look at her first budget, she's done the opposite. Part of the reason we're in the problems that we are now is because of the £25 billion tax hike on employer national insurance that was meant to plug a gap. All that's done is lead to 125,000 payroll jobs being lost, young people unable to, you know, find employment because the costs of employing people have just become, you know, so prohibitive that employers don't want to take chances. They're not taking people on, and surprise, surprise, there's less tax coming into the exchequer, and these businesses are not growing, and thus nor is the economy.
Well, let's also just remind ourselves of everything that Rachel Reeves blamed today instead of herself.
I fixed the foundations, dealing with the aftermath of Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget and the £22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the previous government. The continual threat of tariffs has dragged on global confidence, deterring business investment and dampening growth. Inflation has been too slow to come down. The cost of government borrowing has increased around the world, and then a rushed and ill-conceived Brexit that brought further disruption.
Is a lot of this just her fault?
Well, yeah, the two things I just pointed you there, the recent minimum wage hike and then also the £25 billion tax raise. But I think it's bizarre to blame all these things, Brexit, the pandemic or whatever, because she knew about those things when she took office. She could have sorted this out in the first budget. And by the way, I think there was an argument for her to come in and say, look, Britain spends far too much. We don't take in enough to meet those spending requirements. So I'm going to have to do cuts. I'm going to have to do something drastic on tax and hope that by the end of this parliament, things would have improved enough that she can then do some giveaways. But it makes her look silly. It's like she's come in surprised. You know, was she not aware of these things a year ago?
Yeah, shocking. Just very, very quickly, sorry, just another little example of someone who runs a business, say, you know, employs, you know, 10 to 15 people. You know, what's likely to happen to them as a result of Rachel Reeves's, possible next budget, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of the damage has already been done in that employer national insurance hike. But what they need to worry is what's coming after the budget, this employment rights bill, which is going to mean once you hire staff, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of them if you don't work out. So I think, unfortunately, she's creating an environment that's just very, very difficult for anyone trying to do business.
Well, Mark, thank you very much. It's always a real pleasure talking to you. It's the Economics Editor at The Spectator there, Mark Simmons. And look, again, I'll just say to you, at 10 p.m, I'm going to be giving you my take on what we heard from Rachel Reeves earlier today. A little bit of this, I believe.
My job to deal with the world as we find it, not the world that I might wish it to be.
Yeah, the Labour government didn't ask GBNews questions today. Instead, they appear to have just got two random social media personalities to offer them really soft, underarm questions. Why are they treating British taxpayers, hard-working people who watch GBNews with such contempt? But before that...
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
So David Lammy essentially lost a court case today in France, and the details of it are absolutely hilarious. See you in a sec.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, back in May of this year, our then Foreign Secretary David Lammy hit the headlines. In what The Sun dubbed as taxigate, a French taxi driver accused him of getting aggressive when asked to pay for a 6-hour trip to a ski resort in France. Well, this same driver, Nassim Mimoun, was then accused of stealing cash and luggage from David Lammy. But a court today cleared him of all charges, and a judge ruled that the Deputy Prime Minister's claims were, quote, incoherent, adding that there was zero proof that the taxi driver intended to keep any of the goods. The taxi driver also claimed that Lammy's partner had, quote, a crazy meltdown in the car, trying to open the door while the car was travelling on the motorway. He also thought that David Lammy might have been armed with a pistol, so I don't know what gave him that impression, saying that he saw a holster on the minister's hip. Well, there you go, that'll do it. He also alleged that a frustrated David Lammy yelled the effing French before snatching the bill that he thought had already been paid out of his hand. So the taxi driver told the Telegraph after today's acquittal, David Lammy, France didn't believe you. Well, for more on this now is the deputy political editor at The Spectator. It's James Heal. James, I mean, gosh, the details of this are absolutely shocking. Also, may I add that the taxi driver claims that David Lammy, and I believe it's his wife, left the back of his taxi looking like a student digs. It was absolutely appalling. I mean, does David Lammy have to apologise to this guy?
Oh, I'm not really sure that irritating French taxi drivers has ever done the cause of British diplomats much harm. I think it was sort of the most Palmerstonian episode from David Lammy's brief tenure at the Foreign Office. It's quite an extraordinary story, as you say, Patrick, and some of the quotes this guy was giving afterwards were hilarious. He was saying that the minister is attacking a humble French taxi driver who was simply doing his job. I mean, well, never really come across a humble French taxi driver before. But all these different details, it really does seem that neither account stacks up, because the taxi driver is accusing Lammy, as you say, of having a gun potentially in the back, of being sort of swearing and blinding and demanding this sort of payment properly. And actually, Lammy also was saying that he didn't insist and paid all the proper bills. And actually, this taxi driver drove off with the diplomatic passports in the back of the car. So it's really been a sort of he said, she said story.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I mean, beneath this, David Lammy allowed a taxi driver to drive off with all of his possessions, including diplomatic passports. I mean, they don't call him mastermind for nothing, do they?
Well, don't worry. He's now the Justice Secretary, so he's in charge of all our courts and law and order. Yes, it's quite right. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of this until one day David Lammy actually does a full and frank explanation of what exactly went on. As you say, it really does seem quite baffling. I mean, the write-up of all of it was very sort of 1980s sort of Sun-style Union Jack, up yours Dolores thing. But really, no one really seemed able to make any sense about it. And as you say, it was a long journey, 600 miles, and of course a massive bill, 1,500 euros or so.
Yeah, quite. I mean, the pictures, we can't show the picture of the back of the taxi because the son owned the picture. But, I mean, it just kind of, sandwich wrappers everywhere. I mean, it is pretty disgusting. And the allegation that, of course, he also used the phrase, the effing French. I mean, it would lend itself to the idea that our now Deputy Prime Minister is somewhat of a bigoted slob.
Well, look, I'll say that given some of David Lammy's past pronouncements on sort of community inclusion, it may not completely fit so well with his worldview. But personally, I think that, we've all had a row or two on the continent with an old taxi driver. So I'm prepared to let that one slide.
Yeah, quite, absolutely. I don't know, I think... Oh, actually, yeah, I better not say this, because I have actually got a statement from the Ministry of Justice that I will be... We were waiting a while for a statement from the Ministry of Justice. It appears... Oh, hang on a minute. No comment. Right, fair enough. OK, all right, so they don't want to comment. But so I suppose, as far as David Lammy's concerned, is this just a score draw, is it? He's been disbelieved in court, but that doesn't necessarily mean the French bloke's telling the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the fair way to say it. And look, I mean, it's the first time I think tomorrow David Lammy is doing PMQs. The Prime Minister's away at COP, so he's going to be up there. So all I'm saying, any Tory spinners worth their salt, any backbencher want to make a name, you've got to make a joke about French taxi drivers tomorrow. Now's your chance.
100%. Thank you very much, James. Always a pleasure. James Hill, Deputy Political Editor at The Spectator. Like I said, we went to the MOJ. They've declined to comment. Coming up...
The UK's national debt now stands at £2.6 trillion, equivalent to 94% of GDP.
Incompetent, deluded. It's terrible stuff from Rachel Reeves. Stay tuned.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Certainly been a soggy start to the week and further spells of rain are expected over the next 24 hours. The emphasis shifting north. It stays cloudy, it stays breezy. Further spells of rain moving south to north across the United Kingdom. And as we go into the evening, actually, the wettest of the weather moves from southwest England up through Wales into the Midlands and then eventually ends up across northern England, southern and central Scotland, as well as Northern Ireland. A damp night for many, in other words. It's also a breezy night, but that breeze helping to keep temperatures into the teens, even for the southeast, where in fact it stays dry with clear spells. One exception, northern Scotland, where we've got the clear spells and light winds, and as a result, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. So a cooler start here, first thing, but plenty of fine weather for Shetland, Orkney, the far north of the mainland, the Outer Hebrides. The rest of Scotland, though, cloudy and damp with some wet weather moving into the south. Northern Ireland, on and off rain, particularly towards the east, and it's a damp picture for the west of England as well as Wales, but not as wet as Tuesday. The Midlands, East Anglia and the South East faring well for brightness first thing, and in fact we'll see some sunny spells through the day, with it staying mostly dry once again. The breeze from the south continues to import mild air, so temperatures up to 15, 16, even 17 Celsius in places, but it does turn damp once again towards the west of England and Wales by the afternoon, with some showery rain in places. For bonfire nights, well, it looks like there'll be some rain in the north, but drier elsewhere with clear spells and mild across the board. And that gets us off to a generally cloudy start on Thursday once again. Areas of cloud here and there, but a drier day for many. England and Wales seeing some sunny spells. Friday, likewise, some sunny spells here and there, but a band of rain will move west to east through the day.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. And we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
I will not increase your VAT and I will not increase your income tax.
broken promises.
I've made an important choice today to keep every single commitment that we made on tax in our manifesto.
Misleading Parliament.
Abigail Foster.
How can you bring about hope to the young generation who can't get jobs, can't get houses, and are seriously worried about the upcoming budget?
Planting social media influencers in the audience to ask soft questions.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Rachel Reeves is an absolute shocker. Plus, the Home Office apparently has no idea where a Pakistani rape gang member who impregnated a child has disappeared to. And
you will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
Labour accidentally sent confidential material about the Huntingdon train stabbing to journalists. How on earth can we trust them with digital ID? I'll also have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages with my panel Tory MP Esther McVeigh, Reform Councillor Jamie McIver and former Labour Party Minister Bill Rammell, and take a bow, John Lewis.
All right, kids, let's clear all these prezzies off the table. Oh, yeah, that one too, thank you.
I'll play you the full clip of their Christmas advert later on. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Rachel Reeves, for goodness sake, go. Next.
Patrick, thank you very much. The top stories. Rachel Reeves has refused to rule out tax rises, saying she'll make the necessary choices in her budget this month. It comes amid warnings from the Resolution Foundation that tax rises are inevitable. The OBR is also expected to downgrade its productivity forecast, leaving a £20 billion gap in the public's finances. Speaking from Downing Street, the Chancellor said her statement on the 26th of November will focus on fairness and opportunity. But she also admitted the world has thrown challenges our way.
Mine will be a budget for growth, with fairness at its heart, and a budget that supports businesses to create jobs and to innovate. As I take my decisions on both tax and spend, I will do what is necessary to protect families from high inflation and interest rates, to protect our public services from a return to austerity, and to ensure that the economy that we hand down to future generations is secure, with debt under control.
Well, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has hit back, claiming Rachel Reeves' speech proves that Labour has given up on living within its means.
Chancellor's speech was one long waffle bomb. A laundry list of excuses. She blamed absolutely everybody else for her own choices, her own decisions, her own failures.
Elsewhere, a committee of MPs has now written to the BBC's chairman demanding information about the way a speech by Donald Trump was edited in an episode of Panorama. The broadcast is accused of doctoring a Donald Trump speech to make it appear he encouraged the Capitol Hill riot. An internal memo seen by The Telegraph claims the Panorama episode, broadcast a week before the US election, completely misled viewers. It showed Mr. Trump urging supporters to fight like hell when he actually said to march peacefully and patriotically. The BBC told GB News it doesn't comment on leaked documents, but said all feedback is taken seriously. In other news, Tommy Robinson has been cleared of a terror offence after refusing to give police his phone PIN when he was stopped at the Channel Tunnel last year. The 42-year-old had been driving to Spain when police demanded access to his iPhone under anti-terror powers. The judge found him not guilty, ruling police acted unlawfully, detaining him under the Terrorism Act. Robinson's defence argued officers targeted him because of his political views and not because of any link to terrorism. And elsewhere today, Sir David Beckham has been knighted at Windsor Castle, recognised for his services to sport and charity. The former England captain said he was immensely proud to be honoured in the King's birthday list. Beckham's glittering career saw him win 6 Premier League titles and 2 FA Cups with Manchester United before becoming a global ambassador for British sport. He's also supported humanitarian causes through UNICEF since 2005 and now serves as an ambassador for the King's Foundation. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more in an hour.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Rachel Reeves is incompetent, untrustworthy, uncharismatic, deluded, legally dubious and, by the looks of it, miserable. She's going to hike your taxes, she's going to make you poorer and she's running Britain into the ground. Here she was today.
At the budget last year, I fixed the foundations.
OK, well, the number of unemployed people increased by more than 250,000 already under her.
I put our public finances back on a firm footing, provided an urgent cash injection into our faltering public services and began rebuilding our economy.
Rebuilding our economy? Rachel Reeves' speech today wiped £22 billion off the stock market. People are saying, oh, well, it's now gone back up. The point is, every time she opens her mouth, it costs us billions of pounds. Let's see the next clip, shall we?
The Prime Minister, the Secretary of Work and Pensions, and this whole government are committed to reforming our welfare state.
Stop, 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 because Starmer U-turned on welfare reforms that would have saved about £5 billion a year because Labour MPs rebelled. The number of people claiming benefits has risen under Rachel Reeves.
I became Chancellor, I began to put that plan into action, stabilising our public finances.
Stabilising our public finances. Bring up the national debt clock. OK, look at it. I don't even know what that number is. I don't know how you say that out loud. I mean, seriously, the black hole has risen as well under her from 20 billion quid, which I'm not even sure it was to begin with, up to 40 billion pounds. But look, it's not her fault. She blames Liz Truss, tariffs, the world, foreign conflicts, Brexit, the pandemic, austerity.
Truss's disastrous mini-budget, £22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the previous government. Continual threat of tariffs. Inflation has been too slow to come down. The cost of government borrowing has increased around the world. And then a rushed and ill-conceived Brexit.
Well, what else is she going to blame? Oh, Venus wasn't aligned with Mars this year. Oh, no. You know, I mean, you need to look in the mirror, Chancellor, and blame what you see staring back at you. Regrettably, she went on.
Reforming our economy, ripping up the planning rules so we can build housing and infrastructure right across the country.
Build housing. One housing minister resigned after underpaying her stamp duty, and the current housing minister doesn't know how many houses he's building.
How many new homes have been built since Labour took power?
I don't have the exact... I'm not Wikipedia.
You don't have...
No, I'm not Wikipedia.
No,
I'm here to talk to you about
secretary.
policy.
This was the best line for me.
Bringing the brightest and the best to our shores with a new visa regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the best and the brightest. She shouldn't even be the Chancellor. She was accused of exaggerating her LinkedIn CV. She wasn't an economist for the best part of a decade at the Bank of England.
Say that you'd worked at the Bank of England for a decade when, in fact, it was... Well, it wasn't even 6 years, it was 5. I mean, that's exaggeration, isn't it?
Well, I worked at the Bank of England for 6 years, between 2000 and 2006. I was employed by the Bank of England, including I spent just over a year at the British Embassy.
Why did you say it was a decade?
Well, I think you're taking... I think it's one...
She broke the law by not getting a renter's licence to rent out her home. Now, that was illegal, even if it was inadvertent. I think there's a good chance that we're about to find out that she's lied to the public.
...of this Parliament, which means we're not going to have to come back for more.
Well, she said that she wouldn't come back for more taxes in the budget.
We've been really clear in our manifesto about the taxes that we won't increase. And we're not going to increase the taxes that working people pay, their income tax, their national insurance and their VAT.
Well, she said she wouldn't raise taxes on working people.
We've made an important choice today to keep every single commitment that we made on tax in our manifesto. I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT and I will not increase your income tax.
Well, she's in Parliament there, I think, saying that she will not increase your income tax. Well, that's interesting. What happens if you say something in Parliament and then it doesn't happen to be true? Oh, anyway, OK. All the news is that she is about to do that. That's what they keep telling us. That's what everyone's reporting, that she's about to do just that. Surely, if she does, she will have misled Parliament. Do you have to resign for that? Should you not resign for that alone? Labour know it's bad because they refused to call GB News for questions today. We are Britain's most watched news channel and have been for 4 months in a row. Instead, they called 2 random social media influencers who just asked really softball questions like this.
Abigail Foster.
How can you bring about hope to the young generation who can't get jobs, can't get houses, and are seriously worried about the upcoming budget?
Oh, well, thank you very much, Abigail. I've got a note here on how I'm bringing hope, and I can just read all that out to you now, so that's great. And another influencer who actually, according to his social media profile, looked very happy to meet the Prime Minister not that long ago.
Hello.
Hello,
Nice to meet you.
see you.
Cameron. I'm good. How are you?
Cameron, how do you want me, or Kaz?
I mean, Cameron works fine.
Cameron.
Or Cam, whatever
Cameron.
works for you.
We're all friends. Chancellor, if you won't go for the good of the country, please go for the good of yourself. We can all see that you're not happy. And that wasn't a one-off.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Go, quit, resign, put yourself out of your misery, put us out of our misery. But the good thing is, Rachel, that you haven't managed to cut those unemployment benefits, have you? So you can still carry on being paid by the taxpayer to sit around and do nothing. Let's get our thoughts on my panel. We've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh, we've got Reform Councillor Jamie McIver and former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Esther, I'll start with you. I mean, this has just been an absolute car crash. Do you think seriously she does have to go here? I mean, there's the serious questions about misleading the public, really, isn't there? Categoric breaking of manifesto pledges, if indeed she goes ahead with what's being floated.
Well, I think she's toast. And I think she looks like a broken woman. I'd say I don't think I've ever come across a minister, particularly a chancellor, so out of their depth. I don't think she can do the job. And like you said, she sold so many sort of lies, untruths, whatever you want to say, and she's in a corner. She's backed herself into a corner. I have never heard of a pre-budget meeting of which you can't talk about the budget. You can't talk about what you're doing, because you never can, because you can only talk about in the budget. But they're sort of holding this meeting to sort of break to the public that I'm going to break a manifesto pledge. And can I tell you, breaking a manifesto pledge usually means it's not only going to be over for her, but it will be for the Labour Party. I'll just give you an example. Lib Dems talking about student fees. It's over. We could go back in history. It's true of every party, but that is it. And I'm afraid she flew some kites, didn't she, the other week, trying to see could she get round, should we do mansion taxes, should we do taxes on driving, should we do taxes on saving, you name it. But they've realised it isn't enough money. And the only way they can get enough money is by raising probably income tax without disproportionately, again, walloping people who own businesses, because you're not growing the economy there, you're shrinking the economy. Taxing jobs means you're going to shrink jobs, you're putting people out of work. So she's absolutely got herself in a corner.
Bill, your views on Rachel Reeves' speech today, then?
Well, what she was doing, and it's not unprecedented for a Chancellor 3 weeks out from the budget to start rolling the pitch, and we saw what happened with Liz Truss's budget.
Bill.
Hold on.
This is desperate,
No,
desperate.
it's
Going
not.
into number 10, please, Bill, please.
Hold on, Esther.
You're losing your own credibility by defending her.
We saw what happened when you don't roll the pitch with Liz Truss's budget. But look, the reason that she was rolling the pitch and the reason the government is probably going to raise taxes is fundamentally because of the reclassification by the Office for Budget Responsibility, who I think have got too much power and influence now, but their reclassification of productivity under the Tories has brought about a hit of 21 billion to the government's finances, and the government has to respond to that. Now, where I thought she was interesting today, she said, we've all got to make a contribution. And this might be unusual for a Labour politician, but if she was indicating that it's going to be a tax rise across the board rather than targeting the very well-off, then I think that's the right move. Because actually, if you look at
working people.
Yeah, but hold on. If you look at what's happened...
manifesto.
Yeah, hold on. If you look at what's happened over the last 20 years, it's actually the well-off who've paid more taxes, whilst our comparison for people on ordinary incomes compared to France, Germany and elsewhere,
But then it's a lie, isn't it? It's a whopping great big lie.
Well, let's wait and see what happens at the budget, right? Because, you know, one of the touted measures is a 2p increase in income tax and a 2p cut in national insurance. And that means that wealthy pensioners would pay more, landlords would pay more, but working people wouldn't pay more.
But hang on a minute, hang on. The reason we're in this position, you can blame the Tories as much as you like. I'm not going to sit here and defend them, but Labour have got into office. They knew they were going to get into office. It became inevitable. Rachel Reeves was shadow chancellor for a long time. She shadowed many budgets. They have got into office. They have no plan. That is the biggest problem. And it is reckless. It is reckless to get into office and not have a plan. And then on top of that, they've got the audacity to criticise Nigel Farage, who just yesterday was talking about how we're actually going to inspire young people to get on
Who ripped up all his tax commitments.
No, Nigel Farage yesterday laid
did.
out a very innovative, exciting future for the British economy, something that the Chancellor could do at her budget. There's no vision, there's no enterprise, there's no innovation. All you see from the Chancellor...
She's just doing a blame game.
All the commitments...
You had no plan.
All the tax commitments Reform gave at the general election, they ripped up yesterday because they're not credible and they can't be delivered.
Rachel Reeves, and she's just doing a blame game now. Since she came into office, unemployment has gone up every month. Borrowing is up, debt is up, expenditure's up. And now we find out, because when she came in, she gave a load of money to the public sector without linking it to reform of any form of work that they were doing. And we now see productivity is down, which she did in the NHS. So please, she's added to all of her work.
She wouldn't have been anywhere near the cabinet in your day, Bill, would she?
No.
Yeah, I think she would. But look,
No way. Her biggest thing was, I'm a woman and doing this job, not my qualifications.
Esther, the reclassification by the OBR of productivity was the productivity that happened on your watch. Now, the real question... Hold on.
No,
the real
I've
question...
heard a lot
Hold on.
of voices
The real question is, why did the OBR not deliver that verdict when the Tories were in office and unsustainably cut national insurance by £4 billion?
Can I just say, first of all, when you look at what the economists said, productivity went down in the financial crash of 2008, and then it's obviously taken a long time to recover. And then the big thing was lockdown, people not going into work. That was the biggest one. And then after that was what Reeves done with paying people much more money without linking it to performance increases. So it wasn't as you relayed.
Why didn't the OBR make that reclassification before Jeremy Hunt's last two budgets?
So why do you think the brightest and the best are fleeing this country? Why are the brightest and the best fleeing this country? And I'm not just talking about the high earners, I'm talking about the innovators,
the figures
people
that have been quoted are about 0.3% of the millionaires who live in this country.
Look at the reality.
Yeah, that is the reality.
Brits are fleeing this country.
No, they're
the
not.
Talented entrepreneurs, the people that want to innovate in our economy because they have no faith in this government. And because of the way our parliament works, we're stuck with this government for a little longer, unfortunately, and people are fleeing this country to the UAE, to the United States.
But by the way, when you say 0.3% like that, you do know, like, 1% pays 30% of the income. So when you say that, it is a lot of people.
Can I just say on that? So there are just shy of 250,000 Brits residing in Dubai/the UAE. They are by no means all millionaires. What a lot of them are is aspirational middle-class families.
Young people as well.
Young people.
Well, and it's not going to be a massive tax hike that takes place in the budget, is my prediction, in 3 weeks' time. But I tell you what, one of the other things that Rachel Reeves said today is no return to austerity. And as we move towards the general election, with this government having invested significantly in public services, I think your party, Esther, who are committed to fanciful £47 billion cuts, and yours, Jamie, £275 billion, where are the cuts going to come from?
Expenditure were carried on going up. It was never austerity, it was a word. People were trying to get people to live within their means. Expenditure went up, so this whole thing about we're not going back to austerity...
Tell that to local councils who've had their budgets cut in real terms by 25%.
I can help you with this one. Look, the councils that Reform UK have inherited, the state of their finances, Labour and Conservative councils, particularly the Labour councils, are some of the worst. Just look at the London councils. Have you seen the list of all the councils that need extra financial support?
Why then, having campaigned last last May saying you're going to cut council tax, are all your councils now saying they're going to put up by 5%?
Unfortunately, Barry, you're showing yourself up when you say that, because you should know that, having been a Member of Parliament and worked with councils and budgets, that in no way would any council know what their council tax is going to be next year. But more critically, we have cut
it's built into their published
We have
You know,
cut
I'd like officials and people in the council to go back to a 5-day week rather than a 2-day week, and that would get productivity right up.
There's obviously got to be huge question marks over credibility. We wait and see what Rachel Reeves' budget is actually going to have in it, but she is clearly rolling the wicket for something pretty painful. You know, not willing to take any of the responsibility herself. Do you not think... I'll just final question, sorry, because we're going to have to go. Do you not think she would have been better served, Bill, standing up and going, you know what, I made some mistakes. I whacked the VAT on private schools. That's actually had a detrimental effect. National insurance, that's not worked. We've got, big levels of unemployment here. We've gone headfirst for net zero. We're not drilled anything in the North Sea for the first time since the 1960s. Norway have done 30 oil fields in that time. I know your bills are going up. We've made mistakes. I'm sorry. And I'm going to try... This is what we're going to do to get out of it. Should she not have done a bit of that?
So there was candour in what she was saying today, that the goalposts have moved and we're going to have to bring forward some tax rises. That was what she was clearly
but she blamed
implying.
Everyone else for it. She blamed Brexit. She blamed, at one point, she just blamed the world, right? And then she blamed tariffs, she's blamed Brexit.
And that's true. Tariffs have had an impact on our economy. The OBR
She said
had
she's
an
doing
impact.
it once in a lifetime, and by the way, it was the biggest tax rise on record, what she did. But this was going to be once in a lifetime, fixing the foundations, and all the things she's talking about now that she's blaming. She knew that last year. Things like Brexit is going on for 10 years. Everything she talked about, we already knew. So I'm afraid
we didn't know about the OBR. We did not know about the OBR reclassification on productivity.
We knew what the global factors were at the general election. They didn't have a plan.
We didn't know the OBR was going to downgrade the public finances by 21 billion.
They probably didn't know what a car crash Reeves was going to be.
Well, look, watch this space. Maybe this is all part of some big grand plan, and we're going to get the budget. It's actually not going to be half as bad as anyone's saying it is. I mean, I'd be very
surprised.
Going to
have a tax reduction.
I'd be very surprised. I mean, yeah, we're one of the most remarkable bits of subterfuge that we've ever seen in politics. But hey, you never know. So there we go. But no, I think in light of the fact that it looks as though many people are going to be skint in the coming months, why not have a load of cash on us this Christmas? Here's how you can be in it to win it.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant New Year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, look, coming up shortly, we've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. There is some breaking news, apparently, on the front of the Daily Mail. The government is going to dumb down the curriculum, cutting exams in favour of a new focus on climate change and diversity. I've just read that at the same time that you found it out, so more on that shortly. And John Lewis, take a bow.
All right, kids, let's clear all these prezzies off the table. Oh, yep, that one too, thank you.
Yes, I'll be playing you the full John Lewis Christmas Spectacular very shortly. But the Home Office has now, very serious to us, the Home Office now has no idea where a Pakistani rape gang member who impregnated a child has gone. He's disappeared. Reveal all in a sec.
For From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nigel Farage and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
12,000 men die a year from prostate cancer. I think that's the fact that a lot of people don't realise in the first place, which is scary. But the potential life-saving trial that's been found will allow... Well, there's a study that shows 162,000 men. That could be reduced by 13%. So I think the one thing that's really interesting with prostate cancer is how hard it is actually to get the test. And I think that's one thing. A lot of people are scared to take it, I find. And it's kind of these stats that it's information getting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are entitled to it over 50.
You're entitled
to it.
It's a battle. It's a postcode lottery. You know, I'd know men who said, I wanted to get the test. I went to my GP. They said I couldn't have it. They had to really fight for it. And, of course, like any cancer, catching it early is crucial. I had breast cancer 7 years ago. I was so lucky, caught at my very first mammogram, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I had to fight for it. I had one when I turned 50. And because I just said, I'm entitled to it, I want one. And I really, really had to push, and that's not because a lot of people won't do that.
I think it's the opportunity, as you're saying, like, if you have the opportunity to catch something early, like, people will take it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, sometimes people don't even know about these things, and I think it's about having the opportunity. It's kind of like, OK, reach out, allow people to make that decision themselves. Do they want to find out?
Yeah.
Because people will take it, like, 100%.
No, of course.
Make it easy, make it available.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages very, very shortly. But first, the Home Office appears to have admitted that they have lost a notorious Rochdale grooming gang leader after he left the country without their knowledge. Now, Adil Khan was jailed in 2012 for his role as the ringleader of a Rochdale grooming gang that sexually assaulted 47 girls, including one as young as 12. Now, Khan himself impregnated a 13-year-old girl. A judge ordered his deportation to Pakistan nearly a decade ago, but he basically shredded his Pakistani passport, renounced his citizenship, and we apparently couldn't send him anywhere as a result of that. But today, it emerged that police officers discovered that the 55-year-old was no longer at home when they conducted their normal post-prison checks last month. Officers currently believe that he's left Europe, and although the Home Office have banned him returning to the UK, they actually don't appear to know where he is. Well, I'm joined now by former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster. Kevin, thank you very much. Bit concerning, this. We appear to have a Pakistani child rapist somewhere.
Absolutely. Now, there might be some people watching who think, well, if he's gone out the country, good riddance, we don't want him back. But, of course, if someone can sneak out the country, they can also sneak back in. And that's what makes this extremely concerning. And it seems this, from what I'm reading, the fact he'd left was picked up in some sort of routine check that he was still living at his address, which doesn't sound a particularly close eye to being kept on a man who committed such serious crimes and was scheduled to be got rid of. But, you know, this again brings up the debates around some of the international obligations we have. You know, the Statelessness Convention, written just after World War II, intended to stop what happened to Jewish people who had their citizenship stripped in the country they'd always lived in, now being abused by a man like this when he's moved to another country, become a citizen there, and totally abused vulnerable people and the hospitality of that society, and should be returned home to his native country.
Yeah, quite. Now, I would say the obvious question here is that obviously you were former immigration minister, and you were unable to get him and several others in his position deported. So do you wish you had been stronger on that?
Well, certainly, Patrick, I think it was probably under Pretty that we stripped these gentlemen of the British citizenship that they'd been granted previously, but it's then been able to move on to get them out of the country. And yeah, certainly I'd have liked to have seen us gone further with dealing with some of the human rights laws. And by the way, this is not just the ECHR, which he was also trying to abuse as well, but the Statelessness Convention, which goes beyond Europe. There's a real need to look at this sort of Gordian knot of international obligations which are being abused. They're not being used in the way they were drawn up. You know, these aren't people fearing the type of persecution we saw in Nazi Germany. These are vicious criminals looking to abuse the law.
Well, also, and of course, even if they were to face persecution, I would argue that it's pales into insignificance considering some of the horrific, abhorrent crimes that they themselves have committed. In his case, impregnating a 13-year-old girl. The scary thing for me is this, is we're assuming he's left the country. The Home Office is assuming he's left the country. I mean, the other day we accidentally released an Ethiopian sex offender and he was just around for a bit. I mean, we don't actually really know where this guy is. And who's to say that he won't find his way back in on a fake passport?
Well, I suspect what will be done, Patrick, would be to look at his biometrics. Certainly the Home Office will have those, so even a fake passport wouldn't work because it would be his biometrics, that's face and fingerprints, to put it into different language, less technical, that the Home Office does have. In fact, we have it for pretty much anyone who's, the Home Office would have it for pretty much anyone who's ever applied for a visa to this country. So if he came back on a false passport, he would be identified. But as I'm probably going to touch on now, many people think, hang on, what if he shows up in a small boat? Yes, we could identify him, but then we got to go through the process, try and get rid of him, and of course get Pakistan's agreement for him to be transported back to Pakistan.
If it turns out, I know we're dealing in hypotheticals here, but if it turns out that he's gone back to Pakistan, does this not just pave, surely this would pave the way now for us to say to everyone else, just get on a flight? Because my understanding was that Pakistani International Airlines has now been allowed to fly into Britain again after a hiatus, mostly, I believe, because they had some unqualified pilots. But one of the conditions I thought of that was that we could use that as leverage so that they could accept their child rapist back. And it appears so far that we've not sent a single one back, apart from one guy who might have sent himself back.
Yeah, I think certainly with this one, Patrick, you know, my view is the country should take back. By the way, the UK does take back some citizens of ours that we probably would rather not have sent back to us. But we're respecting the fact that, for example, if someone's committed serious crimes in somewhere like Australia, they should be returned back to us if they're not an Australian citizen. However, we find with countries like Pakistan, what might be said can be very different to what then actually happens when you say, right, you say you're prepared to take people back, here's a case, will you take this person back? But certainly the principle is there, and as you rightly say, their crimes are so serious that any threat of persecution in Pakistan, well, they had their chances, they knew what would happen if they did this sort of behaviour. I'm really not bothered what happens to them next, including, for example, if some of them need to go back to Afghanistan.
Well, quite, yeah. So it's a topic for another time, possibly tomorrow, maybe. Kevin, thank you very much. Great to see you. All the best. Kevin Foster there, former Immigration Minister. Right, a Home Office spokesperson has said this. Our thoughts are with the victims and survivors of grooming gangs who have shown immense bravery throughout their pursuit of justice. Adil Khan is a vile man who has fled the country and will not be able to return. Well, OK. Now, in just a couple of moments' time, if you want to find out what's on the front pages, I will tell you. But I've got a little heads up for you on one of them. Apparently the Daily Mail's front page is that the government is going to dumb down our curriculum, cut exams, and instead focus on climate change and diversity. What a time to be alive.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to escape the autumnal weather in the UK, well, there is also some unsettled weather through the Mediterranean. The focus in the east and the west at the moment, with Greece seeing some heavy showers, particularly towards the south, and even some longer spells of rain. Italy, though, faring well for sunny skies, likewise for the south of France. But we do have this wet and windy weather sweeping through Portugal on Wednesday, into Spain, and then clearing into eastern Spain during Thursday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Certainly been a soggy start to the week and further spells of rain are expected over the next 24 hours. The emphasis shifting north. It stays cloudy, it stays breezy. Further spells of rain moving south to north across the United Kingdom. And as we go into the evening, actually, the wettest of the weather moves from southwest England up through Wales into the Midlands and then eventually ends up across northern England, southern and central Scotland, as well as Northern Ireland. A damp night for many, in other words. It's also a breezy night, but that breeze helping to keep temperatures into the teens, even for the southeast, where in fact it stays dry with clear spells. One exception, northern Scotland, where we've got the clear spells and light winds, and as a result, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. So a cooler start here, first thing, but plenty of fine weather for Shetland, Orkney, the far north of the mainland, the Outer Hebrides. The rest of Scotland, though, cloudy and damp with some wet weather moving into the south. Northern Ireland, on and off rain, particularly towards the east, and it's a damp picture for the west of England as well as Wales, but not as wet as Tuesday. The Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast faring well for brightness first thing, and in fact we'll see some sunny spells through the day with it staying mostly dry once again. The breeze from the south continues to import mild air, so temperatures up to 15, 16, even 17 Celsius in places, but it does turn damp once again towards the west of England and Wales by the afternoon with some showery rain in places. For bonfire nights, well, it looks like there'll be some rain in the north, but drier elsewhere with clear spells and mild across the board. And that gets us off to a generally cloudy start on Thursday once again. Areas of cloud here and there, but a drier day for many. England and Wales seeing some sunny spells. Friday, likewise, some sunny spells here and there, but a band of rain will move west to east through the day.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back. Let's do the very first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages. We're starting with The Independent. Reeves puts Britain on notice of budget income tax rises. Chancellor finally signals a readiness to break Labour manifesto pledge. The Metro. Brave Sam's always been our hero. Family hailed the railman who was hurt tackling a knifeman. This is Samir Zitouni, who is praised for apparently saving the lives of, well, countless passengers on that Hillingdon train. There we go. Huntingdon, not Hillingdon, apologies, my bad. The Guardian, NHS bears brunt of ugly racism, warns Wes Streeting. An ugly racism reminiscent of the 1970s and 80s has become worryingly commonplace again in modern Britain, apparently. That's according to... Hang on a minute. Have they done a single thing on Reeves' speech on the front page here? No. They've not. That's amazing. The Guardian. So you've got a Labour Chancellor who stood up today and basically It just shredded a Labour manifesto, and it does not appear that The Guardian have thought that was worthy of a front-page story. Remarkable. The Daily Express. Reeves is just blaming everyone else for the chaos. Again, it's another Kemi Badenoch line on the front page of the Daily Express there. The Daily Telegraph. Head should roll over BBC bias. So this is their latest in a series of things. We did it at 9 p.m. actually, but they've been revealing leaked dossiers which appear to suggest that the BBC, frankly, has got catastrophic issues when it comes to trustworthiness. Everyone will have to pay more, warns Reeves. This is the one we're going to focus on, then, the Daily Mail. They've obviously got Reeves's waffle bomb as the thing. Speech that was all bluster and lies. Interesting that they've openly called her a liar there. But then we've got the big story on the front here. Labour dumbs down schools. So this is what we're going to focus on now. It's a news story. Ministers were last night accused of educational vandalism. Apparently they're going to tear up the curriculum. And they are going to cut GCSE exams, simplify primary school tests, scrap a drive against Mickey Mouse subjects, and some of these plans include things like, quotes, get this, decolonising the curriculum, boosting diversity and putting a focus on climate change. Jamie?
Well, I think it's, dumb down schools, like we've got a dumb down government. I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth are you supposed to inspire the next generation, build our economy fit for the future by not having an aspirational attainment in schools? To me, that's the foundation of everything. Your GCSEs, as far as I'm concerned, wasn't too long ago. It's the proudest achievement. When you open that envelope, you've worked really, really hard. It's the first thing you achieve. And on from GCSEs, it's your Saturday job, it's then your first job, it's A-level. Some do uni, some start a business, although in this country now starting a business is probably something that you can dream about rather than actually do. And the thing that we've got here is a government that wants to strip out our heritage, strip out our culture, and actually doesn't believe in things like science. That's the scary thing.
Well, there's a couple of lines in here. So I can remember reporting a while ago about the union, specifically the National Education Union, which is run by a man called Daniel Kabidi, who's called previously to globalise the Intifada. He's also said that we need to decolonise the curriculum. And now it appears that Bridget Phillipson has agreed, or wants to do, exactly that. So more focus on diversity, more focus on decolonising the curriculum, more focus on climate change.
Well, what a load of rubbish that is. To be fair, Bridget Phillipson has been a disaster. Her VAT on private schools has shown to be a disaster. I'm not really sure where she gets her ideas from, but
well,
things
the NEU.
like... Yeah, exactly. It would tackle conspiracy theories the children are going to do and embed climate change in geography and science. This is, I would call, an indoctrination of children to left-wing bias and ideology. I would sooner we went to school, kids went to school, they did maths, we just do maths. We do science, we do science. We're not embedding untested climate change ideology in what you're learning. I think it would just be a lot better if actually children could do your 3 Rs and then choose to be engineers or choose to go into business. You start a lesson,
we all take the knee. And then, once we've done that and we've just prayed to the rainbow flag at the front of the classroom for a bit, we've acknowledged our privilege, and then before you know it, we just get on to talking about climate change.
Meanwhile, in the real world, let's look at what's actually happening. And this is a lot of Daily Mail guff.
But it's not just in the Mail, it's in the Times, it's in every other paper.
As a former education minister and someone who runs an educational charity, very well connected in the Labour Party, I'm plugged into the curriculum review, and this Mail story bears no relation to what's going to be coming out tomorrow. It does talk about subject depth. It does talk about... You said there's no science, Jamie. There's a key commitment to ensure 3 sciences can be studied by young people.
Talking about telling children a man can be a woman.
No,
that sort of stupid stuff.
No, that's rubbish, and it's not true. It's about societal and technological change. It's about oracy within the curriculum. And yes, it is about assessment. And bearing in mind it is now... a legal duty to stay in education or training till the age of 18, there's a very strong argument that testing at 16 is no longer fit for purpose, because 18 is the key level, because it doesn't actually add
give
value.
People the vote at 16. You can't test them, they can't do exams, but it's OK, they can have the vote.
Because they're staying in education and training until the age of 18.
Should I also say to you why actually you are wrong and the decolonisation and the climate change is coming, because having just come out of Cabinet, and this is all being driven by the civil servants. So again, Labour have lost control. They're not in charge of what we're doing, because that was trying to be pushed when I was in Cabinet and I refused it to come through. So this is civil servants pushing their ideas now on a Labour Party that doesn't even know what's up and what's down.
I would wait until I'd wait until it's published tomorrow, and I think you're going to have egg on your face.
No, I won't, because I saw this coming
through. Just to clarify, sorry, you don't think there's going to be any attempt to, quote, diversify the curriculum in subjects such as English literature and history, so that every child can, quote, see themselves and their communities reflected?
Yeah, a proper representation of British people within the curriculum, I think, is
That's unrealistic with history. See, what I think we should be doing is teaching children how the British abolished the slave trade. I think we should be teaching the children about the British Empire. We should be teaching children about our overseas territories. We should be teaching them about the incredible contributions Britain has made to the world, how we built railways in India, how we made sure there was democracy in most of Africa.
Do you know what you shouldn't do, Jamie?
What we should be doing is teaching children facts about how proud they should be of this country.
What you shouldn't do
to reinvent history.
What you shouldn't do is weaponise history. There are many.
It's not weaponising anything.
There are many positives from the British Empire. There are many negatives, and children
and all you want to do
young
is talk
people.
About the negatives.
No.
Talk about the positives.
I want children and young people to see a balanced study of both sides.
They just need facts. They don't need fiction.
Well, there are facts on both sides, Jamie.
All right, we've got to go, because something to take your mind off all of this. Take your mind off all of this, because it's finally time for a sneak peek at this brand new John Lewis Christmas advert, which has won all the plaudits so far. It'll be there in a second.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The Daily Mail going on a headline, woke gardens to tackle absenteeism, and stop asking people's questions, it makes them anxious. Now,
of course it makes you anxious.
It's your job.
Yeah, so I mean, I get what they're going, and it's very easy to go with a popular view here. But I think they're not saying all pupils. They're asking to take into account that there may be, in certain sets of the classes, neurodivergent people, autistic, for whom it does make it. So I do work with children who've been in care, and sometimes I've got people in the room who are autistic, and because I'm energetic and stuff, I've got to be very careful how I approach them. So sometimes, if I'm asking a question, I won't even look.
But Chris, I don't think that you can break up. You can sit and say, well, we've got Dawn, better not ask her that. Chris, I can't ask her this. And whatever. You know, you can't keep differentiating and cutting things up like that. I think you have to relook at what teachers are expected to do.
I think if we're preparing children for the outside world, we have to be tougher with them than we are. Now, you can't wrap them up in cotton wool. The world does not revolve around them. They have to toughen up, sorry.
And you will be asked questions in life.
Yeah, no, it's true. So are you saying that exclude them from the classroom so that you can concentrate on the main body?
But yes.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, okay. That might be a solution. Well, so you go back to having schools that cater for.
You see, when people say questions make you anxious. Yes, I was anxious.
Yeah. We all are. I was anxious. I was anxious when I went to the track, and as a world class athlete, I was still anxious when you go to the final. Yeah, we get that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back. Let's round off those newspaper front pages before I give you the sneak peek of John Lewis's much-praised Christmas adverts. We start this round of papers with the Daily Mirror, I believe. Yeah, why not? Make it fair, Rachel. Plea after tax rise hint. Chancellor's budget warning. Unions say they should target the wealthiest. Well, of course they do. The Times, Reeves lays ground for 1970s-style tax increase. Great, brilliant. Let's go for the Sun. Finally, Sir Golden Balls, and it's I spent months crying, admits knighted Beckham. It's David Beckham being knighted, which doesn't a tin really there. I think we got the eye as well. No, fair enough. We can find out. It's a good job. We've got another hour, isn't it, to do all that kind of stuff for the newspapers. Right, here it is, everybody. So John Lewis fired the starting gun on the Christmas advert campaign today. How do you think they did?
Why don't you take my hand, come away, come out of the blues? Why everything you give, so will I give something to do?
OK, right, that was a bit of the John Lewis advert. You're going to have to hang fire for my next show to watch the full thing. But, yeah, I mean, it's a good one. It's quite wholesome. It's supposed to spread a message of a father and a son who, you know, have rekindled their relationship after all these years and is bring back a bit of nostalgia and everything like that. But I think we'll probably touch on that a bit more in the next hour. Sorry to anyone who's clung on for that there. But anyway, look, let's just do a little round-up, I suppose. So basically, I suppose the papers, all of them pretty much, apart from The Guardian, are leading off on Rachel Reeves laying the ground for 1970s-style tax increases. Being realistic about this, do we think she survives much beyond the budget? What do you think? Anyone?
Well, it depends if she's going to be the human shield for Starmer, and then he will keep her close for as long as he possibly can. So she might survive. And then the other thing is, who are they going to have instead of Reeves? They built her up for so long that she was the woman to do it. There seems to be nobody within the Labour Party they can put there as well. So there's two reasons she might stick around. But I think this absolute breaking of the manifesto pledge, I think that's curtains for her. The front page of The Guardian does tantalisingly say Reeves could cut green energy levels from energy bills. So it'll be interesting to see what she's going to do there. That's last...
Do you think there is a chance, any chance, that this isn't going to be nowhere near as bad as everyone seems to be suggesting?
Yep.
No, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be terrible. And my optimism here is, I hope it's. I don't want to wish harm on the country or the economy, but I hope it's so bad that it kickstarts an early general election. That's what I hope.
So go on, but because
I think the markets.
And if that happens, Jamie, your party is committed to £275 billion worth of public spending cuts, which is much more than the whole budget of the NHS. If there is an early general election, you're going to have to explain where those cuts are going to be levied.
I appreciate you.
And this at a time when people want more public spending in virtually every area of public life.
I appreciate your party likes to cancel elections, but the people watching this show out there are desperate for a general election, desperate for change, and they will absolutely be delighted to know the country's saved. My party wins a general election.
If we do go to a general election, Labour can only blame themselves. They were going to smash the gangs, and they haven't. The one in, one out hasn't. The biggest issues of the day, whether it's immigration, whether it's the economy, whether it's the jobs, I'm afraid they've failed, and they've already run out of ideas. And the sleaze has been horrific, from Mandelson to, you know, whatever good, you know, what was it? The anti-corruption minister having to go for corruption, the homeless minister having to go because she made her tenants homeless. What I meant is, what a disaster. They were going to be the adults in the room. They were going to be whiter than white. No, they were righteous, they were pious, and they proved to be liars.
Right, do you know the difference? You get wrongdoing in any government, but under this government, any minister who's broken the ministerial code has been sacked. In your government,
eventually.
they were...
Oh my
hold on. In your government, they were kept in the cabinet. Look at Priti Patel.
Hang on. The woman who was the housing secretary was done for stamp duty. Give us a break. What a shambles.
We've got to go. We have got another hour. We're going to get everything to you. We're going to do all the front pages. We're also going to get you that John Lewis advert in full, so don't go anywhere. There's a whole boatload of news still to come.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Certainly been a soggy start to the week and further spells of rain are expected over the next 24 hours. The emphasis shifting north. It stays cloudy, it stays breezy. Further spells of rain moving south to north across the United Kingdom. And as we go into the evening, actually, the wettest of the weather moves from southwest England up through Wales into the Midlands and then eventually ends up across northern England, southern and central Scotland, as well as Northern Ireland. A damp night for many, in other words. It's also a breezy night, but that breeze helping to keep temperatures into the teens, even for the southeast, where in fact it stays dry with clear spells. One exception, northern Scotland, where we've got the clear spells and light winds, and as a result, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. So a cooler start here, first thing, but plenty of fine weather for Shetland, Orkney, the far north of the mainland, the Outer Hebrides. The rest of Scotland, though, cloudy and damp with some wet weather moving into the south. Northern Ireland, on and off rain, particularly towards the east, and it's a damp picture for the west of England as well as Wales, but not as wet as Tuesday. The Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast faring well for brightness first thing, and in fact we'll see some sunny spells through the day with it staying mostly dry once again. The breeze from the south continues to import mild air, so temperatures up to 15, 16, even 17 Celsius in places, but it does turn damp once again towards the west of England and Wales by the afternoon with some showery rain in places. For bonfire nights, well, it looks like there'll be some rain in the north, but drier elsewhere with clear spells and mild across the board. And that gets us off to a generally cloudy start on Thursday once again. Areas of cloud here and there, but a drier day for many. England and Wales seeing some sunny